Yeah, it was another decent episode that ticked all the boxes of what it was supposed to do, and yet completely out of place in the back half of a final season. Would you agree with that?
I would. It was another talking episode, but this time there was plot momentum. It just didn't. It didn't move me. I know that this episode came after some quotes from Eric talking about like the actors' performances and how well they've been doing these last few episodes of the series, and it's really been wonderful to watch them do new things. I'm like, yeah, it is, but the writing, it's not there to support what we are doing in the scene. I mean, I think the breakout stars of this episode certainly are the actor who plays Eddie and then Jessica Parker Kennedy. Like they
Mhm.
were did stellar jobs. It felt like episode 8 in a 15 episode season. If episode 8 wasn't the mid-season finale or something, like it just didn't do much for me, but the Eddie parts were interesting to a point.
It definitely has an element of being full circle, although like we said last week, maybe it came a little bit too late. But yeah, I agree. I feel like the episode was very poorly structured because again, we spent the first half of it with Barry missing, Iris off screen. Um, that woman is in labor, and all of Team Flash abandoned her so they could find Barry. Um, and so they were all searching, like there was no urgency whatsoever, trying to find Barry. And then Nora in the future had to do the whole like, oh my God, Eddie Thawne's alive. Big letdown because when Barry finally saw Eddie, he never asked the questions you're supposed to ask. He was never like, is it really you? Because the writing team was like, we already did that with Nora. And I'm like, yeah, but they didn't have a conversation. The emotional reunion here should have been between Barry and Eddie. And we had all the logic thrown out the window because we did all that with Nora. So we're like, we're not doing it again with Barry. So that scene felt very rushed to me. However, Grant Gustin and Rick Cosnett, who plays Eddie, absolutely acted their hearts out to make it feasible. And it did, it paid off in the end. It was an amazing scene. But yeah, we spent the first half of the episode with new Team Flash trying to find Barry. And of course, they're like, how do we do that? Well, he's away at the year 2049, and we don't have any time travelers upon us. So the only person who could possibly do that is, of course, Cecile. So Cecile decides to project her consciousness into 2049, Cecile's body.
Makes no sense.
Um, it does not. And of course, when she wakes up in her 2049 body, she's like, damn, I look good. And I'm like,
Because she's supposed to be 80, but she
yeah,
doesn't look
exactly.
it.
Which of course, let's now talk about the big elephant in the room. The Flash is currently in 2023, and we've zoomed all the way to 2049, and everyone looks exactly the same. That is not how aging works. And I know Superman and Lois has done the same thing because when we flash back to Clark and Lois 20 years ago, they still look the same. And that's fine, but it's easier to make someone look younger than it is to make them look older. And they didn't address it. The Flash actually went out of its way to address it by having Nora say, oh my God, Eddie Thawne's alive and he looks exactly the same. And I'm like, no, really? Everybody looks exactly the same. Why did we have that line of dialogue in it? Um, I just think that was one of the biggest plot holes. Um, because yeah, Cecile is supposed to be in what her 50s, maybe 60s now, and we're zooming 26 years into the future. So this woman would be in her late 70s or
Wow, I'm
80s.
impressed at that math you just did off the top of my head.
Yeah. Well, she's like
It's
40s, right?
maybe 50s, somewhere in around there.
Right, I mean, the point stands that she would have aged.
Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely. And so she's apparently future Cecile's getting her new super suit. So when present Cecile finds herself in her mind, she's all excited to get the new super suit. And it's like any typical superhero suit, slinky, shiny super suit. And she is moving in that suit. She is exercising her mind. Age has not affected her in the slightest. Same could be said for Chester and Allegra, who would probably be in their 40s or 50s and yet still look like they're in their early 20s. And you're like, and then of course, the big issue, they actually went to the effort to put the white wig on Iris. Um,
So mad.
what
I'm
is the
so
point?
mad about it.
Why did we age Iris and have this poor woman looking older than Cecile when Cecile's supposed to be in her 70s or 80s? I know we've gotten far too hung up on this, but good Lord, there was a strategy to this, and that was not it.
This season has made like choices.
Right.
From what I hear, it's just like the choices that are made
At
are
most, they
just
might
so
have
random.
it is. Oh, you know what? We should also things that are random in this episode, but also hilarious. So Eddie, the way the negative speed force convinces him to go evil is by dropping catnip for him, which would be to have a life with Iris and to have a
Catnip?
daughter. Yeah, it's like a little catnip. Just like sprinkle it in there for him to get. I have cats. This is just what my mind went to.
It's a
I
good
thought you meant
metaphor.
literal catnip, and I was like, okay.
But so they had Nora, but blonde. They put a blonde wig, a short pixie cut on Jessica Parker Kennedy so that she could be Eddie's daughter. And I was like, I know Eddie is going through and he's hearing voices and his mind is slipping, but it did not stop him to think, it is strange that even if I'm the person who's with Iris, I would have a daughter who looks exactly like Barry's daughter. Nothing happened. I was just like, I know we couldn't afford another actress, but couldn't we have just put forward the idea of having another daughter? Could we not have had a baby on set? It didn't confuse me. It more just made me laugh and took me out of the story because there's just not enough meat on that bone. It's not even the same Eddie. So why is he so attached to the idea that he would have had a baby and a life and a wonderful marriage with Iris with no proof of that?
No, nonsense. I was going to say it makes no sense, but it's literal nonsense. His daughter would not have looked like Nora. Um, I don't know. And then then fake Nora with the blonde wig was like, "Come to me," and then real Nora saved the day. But Eddie recognized real Nora from the time she was back in the past. Wow.
Which you shouldn't have because they had what, a minute interaction. I mean, the memory must be wonderful
Right,
because
yeah.
if I talk to you for 5 minutes and it's been like what's supposed to be in his world 10 years, 20 years,
Yeah.
I'm so sorry, we're not gonna, no.
And what did you say? Eddie died 34 years ago, and yet everyone looks exactly like they did in season one. I'm sorry, what? Um, and then sorry, I really need to let the aging thing go, but um, when older Iris met younger Barry, because our present day Barry was moved to 2049. He's like going all through the timeline and against as well. Present day Barry ended up in 2049, and they had Iris with the wig, of course, and she was like, "Wow, it's been so long since I've seen you looking like this." I was like, "Why? Nobody else aged. Why would Barry have aged?" It's nonsense. It was nice. Of course, they had to write old Barry off because they would have actually had to age him since they wrote that into the dialogue. But so he was off in the Watchtower with the Justice League apparently, which that was a lovely, like, nice little reference. The DC fan and me was going, "Oh, the Watchtower exists. That's cool." Um, but yeah, why would the Flash leave Central City in the hands of Chester and Allegra and Cecile? Notice there was no Keown or Frost or anything, so I guess something's going to happen with that storyline in the present. Um, but yeah, this episode was messy. Lots and lots of potential, but messy.
Wait, so you guys teased that there was a song,
Yes,
and
please.
that's all I've wanted to know is the song.
So basically, the plot of the episode was the negative speed force was trying to get Eddie to be its avatar because it's basically said Barry Allen stole your life and now he's got the speed force. We can give you the negative speed force. You can go back in time, make Iris your wife, have Nora with the blonde wig as your daughter, and have Barry's life, take it back from him. And of course, the negative speed force is like the blue diamond, and we know Eddie's going to become cobalt blue, but at the same time, he's feeling super blue about what's going on with Iris. So, of course, the very on the nose musical moment at the end was a very moody cover of Elton John's classic. I guess that's why they call it the blues.
Oh,
Right?
I've never heard that song.
Really?
I haven't either, but also that's not what that was giving in the scene.
It wasn't.
Do we know who the cover artist was?
I
Or is
tried
it
to
just
Shazam it twice and it said it didn't recognize it. So,
Okay.
no.
It sounded like something a Milk and Heap would do. And then it sounded like cacophony. Like it was just, he's spiraling mad in his laboratory. And then you have this song playing, like this random needle drop that is it's louder than the sound they did for the levels they did for his voice. So the singer is just a going, and you have to like strain to hear Eddie as he's losing it in the lab. And I was like, what was the choice? Who decided this was the thing? Why is the music so loud?
Does the show usually have music in it that's not score?
Very occasionally.
And it's usually
Very.
good.
Yeah.
Did
Yeah.
you say it's usually good?
No, I'm
Yeah.
sorry, not to be rude to that artist. It's not the song. I meant usually
No,
placed
it's
well.
it's just funny.
Oh, we needed his laugh. Yeah, it felt kind of out of place. Like that song absolutely would slay the right scene, and it was pretty cool. Again, the blue diamond lit up as the lyrics, I guess that's why they call it. The blues was playing in the background. So again, very, very on the nose. But I mean, like it worked, it served its purpose. It was just a little bit taking you out of the moment, if you know what I mean. And then it was building up to the big grand finale as Eddie opened the portal and he had that look, and then it just cut off. It's like, why did we build up to that for no reason? Where were we going with that?
I
It
have a
just
question.
sure.
Is there a cliffhanger going into the series finale, or like is there any questions, anything where like we need answered, like
Technically, yes.
Why
because
did Eddie open the portal?
I'm committing to watching the series finale with you guys.
Oh my goodness, that's so
Oh,
exciting.
oh, it is exciting. I mean, I don't know if you care about the villainous speedsters, but I mean, they're coming back, obviously, by the crystal. So that's like what the cliffhanger would be. Like, if you weren't aware of that knowledge, you'd be like, oh my God, Zoom and Thawne and Savitar. And I think there was like one other person that's escaping me, for whatever reason, was like lit up in the
Godspeed, wasn't
crystal.
it?
Godspeed, there we go.
They'll
They're going
probably
to be
just
coming.
they'll have a standing in a suit playing that role, probably.
I could see that. But that's it. Like, oh, and waiting for the babies, which they forgot about this episode. So that's it.
Sweet. Well,
Mhm.
I'm excited.
Yeah, that was it. The very end of it. Eddie opened the wormhole. He's taking the blue diamond. He's going to become the avatar for the negative speed force, and somehow he's going to bring back all of the major speedster villains from the show's run, which that's exciting. We're going to see the Reverse Flash, Zoom, Savitar, all of them again. But yeah, it's doing everything that it should be. This storyline is hitting all the beats that it should be. We're going to have the big showdown next week that we should. And I'm not feeling as much from it as I wanted to. I don't know whether it's just it's very bad storytelling technique, the aging that didn't make any sense, the fact that we didn't know whether Eddie was in 2049, and then we pegged it last week because of the 2049 graphic in the background, but show never told you where he was in. That captain that was helping him in the last episode, she was essentially a main character in the last episode. She got sucked into a wormhole at the start of this and died.
Oh no, I don't mean to laugh. Oh my God, I didn't. I laughed before
Oh,
you
it was
finished the
funny.
sentence.
It's a little funny. Like he gets angry, and then the wormhole opens, and then she gets pulled out like a tornado is happening, and then that's the end of her. And Nora, who has been taken over by the negative speed force, just absolves Eddie of guilt. She's like, oh, you didn't mean that to happen. And that was just enough for him not to care that a woman is dead. He just went, oh, you're right. I didn't mean it to happen. Let's continue talking about your mom.
And then so Sabrina, correct me if I'm wrong, is the Speed Force alive or dead? She showed up at the start, Speed Force Nora screamed like there was no tomorrow and then disappeared, and now they say they've no connection to the Speed Force. If they defeat the negative Speed Force, will she come back?
Well, see, that part doesn't quite make sense because why would they have connection to the Speed Force? You need Barry to let you know if she's okay or not. I'm
Right.
assuming that she's fine because Barry sped away.
This is
And
true.
if he didn't, he wouldn't be able to use his powers if she was gone. I think she did tell Iris that she wouldn't be able to hold a corporal form because somehow the negative speed force is attacking her on the astral plane. So yeah, that is just what's happening, Reed.
All
That's
these
what she told
words.
Iris.
If Michelle Harrison is not playing Barry's mom or Joan Garrick, she's just showing up as a Speed Force to be in pain 24/7.
She
They
knows
have
no
not
peace.
used, yeah, no peace whatsoever. To think this woman was the season 7 villain, what they've put her through now. But yeah, I hope the Speed Force survives. I don't really know what to feel going into the finale. This is what I fear. The series finale will probably be a phenomenal episode of television, and yet none of what was leading up to it will have been worth the journey.
I feel the same way. I just don't. I think it's because we keep taking detours, right? And so they have to. Presumably, they're not getting a 2-hour finale. Like I feel like that would have been announced. So the things that we have left to wrap up is Cecile's feelings on the fact that she has not moved to the country, even though it doesn't look like the country, with her daughter and Joe, which was a plot point in this episode for reasons that did not need to be there. I mean, we detoured. We were looking for Barry, and then she couldn't do it anymore because she got an out of context comment about how she hasn't been to the farm only twice. She's only been twice in that year. Okay. Then we have the babies. Well, the baby, Nora. I keep saying babies because I'm hoping for the twins, but Iris is in labor, so we'll probably get that either in the middle of the episode or towards the end of the series finale. We have to defeat Eddie. Chester and Allegra have to do one more romantic moment. Keon has to decide if she's going to fly up into the atmosphere or travel the globe instead of being a part of Team Flash. We have one last chance to see if Cisco is going to be here, which presumably not, because I feel like Carlos would have said something. And then Mark has to do something in 45 minutes. Godspeed.
There's no retrospective.
Yes, forgot about that part. This is again why this is a doomsday pod. They do not care about us. They just do not.
There is too much going into that for only 40 minutes of television.
But it all doesn't seem like super high stakes.
No, it doesn't. We're going to have
only two of those things seem like the big deals.
Right.
No
but that's the problem, though. Rightly, the other ones are going to get more screen time. Chilblain, who single-handedly betrayed Barry 3 or 4 times in the most recent episode, was like, gotta find him. I just realized how much I love that guy. And you're like, are you for real? I don't care.
I'm so excited to watch the finale.
Me too, not for the right reasons.
I'm excited for the villainous speedsters and for is it close your ears if you don't want to hear this spoiler. And for Bart. I want to see Bart one last time. Presumably he's in it. I know that what is this actor's name? Lord help me. Jordan Fisher was on set, so he is supposed to be.
Oh, that's good, because I wasn't sure, because I know there were photos from the actual Speedster War or whatever that goes down at the end. And you have Barry in the most boring lineup of Team Flash in history with Nora, and versus all the Speedsters. And like, Team Flash doesn't stand a chance, but of course they'll win. But I don't think Jordan was on set for that shot. But I mean, if he's there, brilliant. That's good, because we're not explaining where he is.
Well, then what was he doing on set? I didn't know we had if he wasn't in the final episode, what were we doing? Were we just, maybe he was just hanging out with Candace. Now and you know what? Bar in hell. I just don't. The bar is that low. I just can't now.
Thoughts and prayers for the series.